Is the camera blurry?
No,
Okay.
not blurry. Here we are.
Is Patriot Sentinel, where truth doesn't whisper, it roars. Hosted by Richard Tortorello, we're cutting through the noise to talk government, politics, fairness, the Constitution, community, and God. Stand up, speak out. The watch begins now.
Oklahoma has over 1.8 million workers. The person who runs the labor commissioner's office affects every single one of them. Lisa Janloo is running for that seat, and she is right here with us right now. She's a mother, a small business owner, and she says the other candidates are just jumping from seat to seat. We have 30 minutes in the hot seat. Let's find out what makes her different. Lisa Janloo, welcome back to the show. How are you doing tonight, sister?
Hey, Rashar. I am doing well. Thank you for having me on. I'm so excited to be here. I'm pumped about tomorrow.
Man, look, this race has been a roller coaster race. I watched you when you started this race when I didn't know who you were. And I came to your first fundraiser event, and I've seen you just explode. And you did exactly what you said you were going to do. You know, you visited the majority of the counties. I think it was mid September, October last year, and then you have been hitting the road. Your father came back to Oklahoma from D.C., and your kids are out there. You got your supporters, and I've seen you around every corner of the state of Oklahoma. For the viewers who are
That's
tuning
right.
in tonight, drop your comments in the comment box. If you're a small business owner, a worker in the trades here in Oklahoma, let us know right now in the chat group here. But Lisa Janloo, she is the Oklahoma candidate for labor commissioner. You lost a state house. People brought this up, and they always bring this up, but I love the answer you had. You ran before 2022. Most
Mhm.
people would just take that loss and walk away. But what made you decide to come back and go bigger?
Well, when I got in the race for the state house position, I was living in a community that was predominantly Democrats. So really 3 to 1. It was like 15,000 registered Democrats versus 4,000 Republicans. But I do believe no seat should go unopposed. And I believe the conservatives in that district needed a voice. And so I went up and put my name on the ballot to be the voice of the conservative people in the district. And so I knew my chances were very low. But I still got in the race. And just like this race, many people try to discourage me. And that doesn't stop me. Honestly, it lights a fire more than discouraging me. So I know with my experience and what I've done for Oklahoma County, I knew what I could do for all 77 counties.
That is awesome. You know, we all come. I think we all came to politics like right after COVID. I came after the city council and Norman decided to defund the police. You were involved in politics during COVID. Specifically, I was reading that you helped found a homeschool program during COVID. So, what did that experience teach you about how government fails working families?
Oh, but that honestly taught me so much on many different levels. But with the government shutting down our schools, there was a lot of working mom and dads out there that couldn't afford to sit at home and help their students on the iPad to do schools. And so, what I've always done best is when there's a need in my community, I always figure out. I'm a problem solver. I figure out how we can better help our community, and that's what we just did. I literally woke up and said, we've got to have a community homeschool. I contacted a local pastor of the community. They sponsored the building, and everything just went from there. We had so many donations from school supplies, toilet paper, food, paper towels. We had over a year supply that we did not need to restock. So everyone was behind the idea.
That is awesome. You were in a car traveling with your family. Your dad's driving. He's back in D.C. Your kids are out putting up signs. Your sister's out there, right? I mean, it's a family event. Um,
That's
so,
right.
so has this taught you? Has this made your family even more of a team? Did it bring you guys closer together?
Oh, yes, but this is my foundation. This is how my dad has raised us all. Everything any of us do, we're always behind each other. We're each other's cheerleaders. So, uh, it could be our kids at a football game. It could be an art show, whatever it is. We're always there supporting one another. And so I love this aspect of me as a candidate versus many other candidates. I'm so blessed and grateful that I have such an amazing family that's behind me 100%. And I also want to say, not only my family, I've met a lot of people, Rashar, that aren't family that listened to me and believed in me, and they are behind me just as much as my family is. And I could never be more grateful for that.
I read a lot about the candidates, and I get a lot of phone calls and text messages about who to vote for, or who do I vote for. And I was reading an OPAC, their voter guide, and this is the first time that they have endorsed two people for one position. It's unusual, um, but I think you edge out your opponents because we had on the previous podcast with Dr. Cox, you have what we call the personality factor. You're so personable. And I think for any government position, I think one of the key criteria is to be personal. You know, can I
Yes.
can I stop and have a conversation with you? Will you take me seriously and listen to what I have to say? And I think you know, knowing the other two candidates and knowing you now, I think you are that person that people would, you would take time. Obviously, people aren't going to call you and just, hey, how you doing, sister, in the middle of a workday, but you know what I mean. So every text, every
Yeah.
email, every phone call you get, you probably respond to them, and that's who we need in that position, I believe. Let's go back to put to the position you want to expand the workforce. Okay, development for Oklahoma youth. I think Whitney Houston said it the best. They are our future. So what does that actually look like in year one for you? Workforce development for Oklahoma's youth.
So what I don't we don't need people to try and reinvent the wheel. There's things out there. It's just they need leadership that's able to connect those dots. And because of the connection I have in many different communities already, I already know how to go in there and get those done. I mean, just last week I had a meeting with some people down at Rose State. They have so many opportunities for our young people to get involved. They don't have leadership that's connecting the two. They're having a lot of people retiring, but we don't got enough young people to come fill those in. So I can't wait to get in there, get everyone at the table, and get this rolling. I'm really excited about it.
Skilled trades are having a workforce. So I've seen around the state, it's like in pockets, but it's not the norm. We have a workforce shortage in some of the career fields, like HVAC and electrical and plumbing. It's always hard to get a plumber or somebody in the electrical to come out and do something here at the house because there's just not enough of those guys around. It just seems like for the trades that we need the most, we just don't see enough. And looking at the future, aviation is going to be the next ground zero for us as far as growth of the state, along with energy continuing and medical. Aviation is going to be there, and we need somebody, I think, in that position who understands the workforce. Um, so, what has nobody tried yet that you're willing to try and look at to increase and address that workforce shortage across the state?
The way we promote basketball and football to our youth, we got to get people in there with the energy. I was on a podcast not too long ago. They're like, how can you connect to our young people? I said, because one, I am young and I've got the energy to keep up with them. And we've got to be excited about what we're selling to our young people. We're telling them, hey, let's do plumbing. But if we sell it to them like it's a miserable career, they're not going to want to sign up for it. So they've got to be I encourage them to get in it. So as a labor commissioner, I want to bring in these programs as early as elementary school, introduce the ideas to our kiddos so they get excited about it, just like they do football or basketball. And what's unique about this generation is they have all the technology that gives them whatever information they want at the palm of their hand. So when they're looking into what plumbing does for me in the future and what kind of money it makes, and when they know they can graduate making 80 grand their first year, I'm 9 out of 10 times they're going to jump on it and go after it. So we've got to do a better job selling these things to our kids.
Absolutely. For anyone joining us tonight or listening to the replay tomorrow, Lisa Janloo is in the hot seat. She is on the ballot for tomorrow for labor commissioner. Polls open at 7 a.m. and she is on the road. So it sounds sometimes that she freezes, but we can still hear the audio. Lisa, thank you for being on the show. You served as state director for LUCA, that foundation. So what is Luca first, and um, what does that work, and how does that work translate directly into the labor commissioner's role?
Well, Luca is Latinos United for Conservative Action, and then I get, are you Latina? And I'm not. I'm not Latina, but the organization for many years we've been kind of following each other's pages. And when Trump his last election, they really wanted to target minority communities. And what they had been seeing, that I literally had been into any zip code in Oklahoma County, and they wanted someone that wasn't scared as a conservative to go into communities that most Republicans don't go into. And so the president reached out to me. We want to open a chapter in Oklahoma. Can you lead that initiative? And that's what we've done. We've connected with many different areas that many Republicans don't go into, and there was a good turnout at Trump's last election with a lot of minorities coming out to vote.
So you're running against two sitting state representatives, and you're not a politician. You did run for office once, I believe. Um, why is that a strength and not a weakness?
Listen, this department, when I decided to get into it, they said anyone that's retiring out of the Capitol, they're going to go straight to the Labor Department. Now, do I believe maybe some seats that need politic backgrounds? Absolutely, but this is not one of them. And we've got to change that culture, the culture of recycling legislators into the Labor Department. We've got to get someone with business background that understands the workforce, because if you're not connected in the community and you're not visiting all 76 counties like we did, then you don't know what the businesses need of Oklahoma. You don't know where those gaps are in our
Mm-hmm.
workforce. Don't know how to advocate for the people of Oklahoma, making sure they're safe at work, they're getting their fair wage. So a lot of times people lose touch when they're at the Capitol, and that's what happens to legislators that term out there. They just want to keep their government title.
Right. Now you are replacing outgoing Commissioner Leslie Osborne. Is that correct?
That is correct.
What is the one thing she got right, and maybe the one thing you want to fix that she got wrong?
You know, I said at the last meeting, there's some things, people talk about that they're not happy. There's things that she's put out with coloring books. I don't know, those things. And that's where I would say she got it wrong, because we don't want to promote anything. You
Mm-hmm.
want people to stand firm in what they believe in. So I'm very conservative. You know my family and who we are. And I'm not going to go in as a leader of a department and promote something other families would not want for their children. And that's what we got to remember in leadership roles. We're there to serve all of Oklahoma and not just target one group. But I haven't, besides that, heard anything else bad in the media. I guess that's a good thing. Usually we hear a lot of bad from many different state departments. And so, but in the 8 years, that's all I've heard from the labor department. But we also got to get it right as our labor commissioner showing up in communities. Nobody knows what a labor commissioner. That is another thing we've got to fix.
Yeah, whatever you do when you win that seat there, make sure you have a good public relations person working with you, because I have no idea what it does. I knew it existed, but I didn't know, no one knows exactly what you do. And I think, well, I do know you have done a great job at interpreting the role and explaining to people what a labor commissioner does. Going back to the other two candidates, you said that they are seat jumping. Name one specific thing they have done in the office that may prove your point.
as far as terming out as a legislator, jumping over to
Yes,
the
as being a seat jumper.
yeah, I mean, when you term out and you retire out, you don't have a job essentially. So now they're searching to find where's the next seat that they can go warm up.
Well,
And now they want the labor to see. Actually, I was out in Rashard was out in Guthrie, and one of my opponents was on the stage, and he literally said, "Nobody wants the duty of the labor commissioner. It's a boring seat. They only get the job that the legislators don't want to do." So, Oklahoma, I tell you this: I want the job. I don't think it's boring, and I'm ready to get out there and work for you.
did you have an answer to that?
What is that?
Okay, that was somebody else. Was that an opponent you said? Or was
Yeah, it
that
was one of
you?
my opponents.
Okay.
It
So
wasn't me.
what did
I
you
would say it was boring. They did.
Yeah, so what was your response though? Did you have a response to that when it was your turn or did he go after you?
Well, he went before me. I went and spoke after, and I said what I just said, that I want the job. I'm doing it. It's not boring. Actually, I believe it's a lot of fun. People just have not maximized the abilities of the labor department, and I'm ready to go do that.
You know what? You're a single mother, you're running a business, you're raising a family, you're running a statewide campaign. Can you tell us what has been the hardest part of this campaign for you?
Not spending the time that I would like to with my children. Uh, More setting at home. They come with me out, and sometimes, we want to be at home, and I get to play basketball with my son, read books with my daughters, or, just hang out and watch a movie. Those times we've had to sacrifice, but, my kids are on board with it. They know that this is not just for mommy, it's not just for them, but it's for the state of Oklahoma. And I really have some good kids because they are really understanding, and they get out there at these events with me, Rashard, and they're shaking hands and they're talking to people, and so they're having a good time.
Well, they're pretty well adjusted, so kudos to you. And I think I think you said you would like to spend more time with them, but actually being on the road with you is, I think it's great family time because you have every time I see you everywhere, you have your entire family's with you. So I think it's a good learning experience to see what mommy really does with her time.
Yeah.
Um, can you tell us about maybe a story, maybe an Oklahoma worker situation that changed how you think about this race?
Well, I'll tell you this: there's some employers in Oklahoma County. They are hiring people of Oklahoma County, paying them $2 an hour, working them 12-hour shifts 7 days a week.
Mm, mm.
And they're telling them, we'll pay you cash. Then you can get food stamps, you can get Medicaid. And I've reported it, and I've gotten the deaf ear. And that's what really changed it for me, because what are we teaching people when we're doing this? And some people at meetings tell me, Lisa, that's like modern day slavery, essentially. We can't have this culture in Oklahoma. And that really was a deal breaker for me, because I want to get in there and go after those bad actors that are taking advantage of the people of Oklahoma. People are just trying to make a living, and we don't need people out there taking advantage of them.
Absolutely, we see that a lot in the news, and so I'm glad you're looking after everybody here. So the last 2 minutes are yours, Lisa. Tell us about your campaign. Tell us specifically why you want people to go out and vote for you tomorrow.
Oklahoma, I want you to know the Labor Department doesn't make laws. I'm running against two guys that are terming out at the Capitol. And so when they tell you they're going in there to cut red tape for you, they cannot do that. You can cut red tape when you're at the Capitol passing law. So if they didn't do it in 12 years, they're not going to do it for you as the next labor commissioner. Let's change the cycle of the Labor Department and get someone with a business background, because we saw that Oklahoma 3 times, all 77 counties voted for President Trump because he was a businessman. And we see how well that's turning out. Guys, let's get a businesswoman in the Labor Department who's connected, that knows what's going on, and that's not afraid to go to any zip code to stand on her conservative values and get things done. I would love to earn your vote tomorrow. Tomorrow's our last day. Let's get new fresh perspective at the Labor Department. And you can visit my website, johnlou for oklabor.com.
Janloo for OKLabor.com. This has been 30
That's right.
minutes with Lisa Janloo, candidate for Oklahoma Labor Commissioner. Hey, before we sign off, can you pan the camera and show your family, your dad
Yes.
driving? I like your
Dad's
family. I
over
like your
here
dad.
driving.
There you go, Ben
And then,
Janloo.
oh, that's my son sleeping. You see him?
Yep, I see him. There you go. Get
Yep,
the
he's
light on.
sleeping. And then
God.
there's my
Hey,
campaign manager, Tayani.
there you go.
Hi.
Hey, are you paying your kids minimum wage at least? Again, Lisa Janloo running for Oklahoma Labor Commissioner. She's on the ballot tomorrow. Share this tonight. We're trying to beat the Facebook algorithm. So comment, share, tag your friends who need to see this. The polls open tomorrow at 7 a.m. Lisa Janloo, thank you so much.
Thank you, Rashard. Thank you. Good night, everyone.